Okay, so moving on, we're going to be going on to Jordan West, and he's going to be speaking about launching or scaling a TikTok shop, what to do and what not to do, secrets from launching and growing the fastest TikTok shop global key account to 1 million per month in US history. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, Jordan, and you can take it away.
Sweet. Thanks so much for having me, guys. It's really, really nice to be here. Awesome. Well, I'm going to kind of dive in here, try and get really tactical and practical here on some different things, some big mistakes that people are making on TikTok Shop, some of the opportunity that is there, and really how I think that all of this really comes together, to make something really, really beautiful. So I'm just going to share my screen here. Just give me one sec. Oh, and looks like I am having an issue. Give me one sec here.
Okay.
Yeah, it worked earlier, but it looks like it's not working now. So that's okay. I will just talk through all of this here for you guys. Dylan, for some reason, this is not, it's only letting me share my entire desktop. Um, so we'll have to
Okay.
see. We'll have to see. I think it's potentially because you're sharing. Sorry, guys, give us just 1 second here. We did do this before and it was working, but
Okay, see if that setting helped at all. Looks like I've stopped sharing on my end.
no problem. No problem. I'll just chat through this here for you guys today. So basically what uh one of the big things that people are having an issue with when getting onto TikTok Shop is that fast the sort of like slow start process, right? That brands have. Um, we, we've worked with close to 70 brands now on TikTok Shop, maybe even more than that. And what we're finding is this massive opportunity. Uh, you know what? Just one sec, guys. What I'm going to do here is I just want to talk through a couple of points. So I'm just going to share my entire screen and we'll just see what happens. Perfect. Can you guys see that there?
Yep, we can see that.
Great. We'll do this then. Awesome.
Perfect.
Um, so my name is Jordan. It's funny. I normally actually don't use slides. I actually hate using slides. And now I was like, oh, I'm just going to talk through my slides today, and that was going on. Anyway, I have owned 7 different brands. I'm actually up and scaling one right now as well. I guess that's an eighth. I just love the e-commerce space so much. When I saw TikTok Shop last year, I was like, oh my God, this is about a year and a half ago. One of my buddies came to me and he's like, hey, we're going to do like $500,000 on TikTok Shop. And he was selling some drinkware. And I was like, okay, it's like another channel. Like what's the big deal? And I thought they were just running, like literally just running traffic into the shop, which to me wasn't very interesting. The interesting part that I saw was, oh my gosh, this is the first time that I've actually seen a win-win with affiliates alongside of, so with influencers and slash creators and brands, right? Previously it was like pay per post and you never really know what you're going to get, right? You're always trying to get like the best possible deal instead of create some sort of win-win. And previous affiliate like programs didn't really work the same sort of way that TikTok Shop does. And so when I saw this opportunity, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the way that we are going to work with creators and influencers in the future. Um, so for me, again, I've been doing this for years. Love working in this space, and I coach a lot of brands and SaaS companies, and have a newsletter and podcast and all that kind of stuff in the space because I'm absolutely obsessed with it. Again, we're the fastest from 0 to 7 figures in a month. This brand has continued to be one of the top brands in apparel. So I like to talk about like my history and all of this is that I was in D2C in apparel, which is like just playing on hard mode unless you're like Shein or something like that, right? Um, it's one of those things that is a lot more difficult. We figured out how to really work with apparel. The average order value on this brand is still somewhere in the sort of like $75 to $80 range. So for those of you who think like, oh, TikTok Shop, it's just like $30 AOVs, absolutely not. Some of the biggest brands that I've seen out there are really rocking like these $50 to $60 AOVs, which to me is really, really interesting. So again, we know what we're doing when it comes to TikTok Shop, social commerce. We come from the direct to consumer side, which is a little bit different um, than a lot of other people that are on TikTok Shop who come from the Amazon side. The reason why, and I'm not all you Amazon people out there, Dylan, love you. But the Amazon people, it's a different mindset, right? D2C is demand generation, right? Whereas a lot of times people, even if they come from like the Google side, a lot of it is demand capture. And so when I think about TikTok Shop, it is this massive demand generation channel where you're really trying to actually create something in your product rather than just capture the demand that is already there for your product, which is why I love TikTok Shop. Again, we've worked with a ton of big brands, blah, blah, blah. To me, this is the slide that I care about the most. Creators are at the middle of everything. And I think that all of us on this call could agree on this, that creators are at the middle of brands in 2025 and beyond. And so what I mean by that is that everything that we're going to do to drive all of this omni-channel growth, like what Dylan talked about, I truly believe that creators are at the middle of all of it. And so if you can treat your creators incredibly well and create win-wins with your creators, that is where you are going to win. And so what we're doing at Social Commerce Club, which is the agency that I'm running, what we're doing at Social Commerce Club is really trying to work with creators on all channels. So including Amazon, right? Including direct to consumer, including all of these different places where creators can then drive the traffic. It's incredible to see what the creators can actually do with your brand. What we're finding, we're working with some massive brands, as you saw before. And what we're finding is that they're actually having to do less research because these creators are just salespeople, right? They're able to actually sell your product to their audience. And sorry, that's actually a bit of a, like, I shouldn't even say that because it doesn't really even matter what their audience is. We have a creator at Social Commerce Club that's working for one of our brands that with one video last month did $150,000 in sales, and she has less than 10,000 followers. These are not influencers. These are creators, right? It's incredible. And for her, I think she did overall like 300 grand in sales. And so these people that can be incredible salespeople, they're not building a following, right? They're not trying to build up their own personal brand. All that they're doing is they're really good at finding a product and being like, hey, here's what's really interesting about this product. That's why I think that creators are going to be at the middle. Now we've taken this content, right? I really think that TikTok content is really interesting. It's like if you've ever heard the term a Rubicon before, there's TikTok content can go this way to Instagram, to Facebook, to Snapchat, to all of these other platforms. But the other content can't really go that way back, which is why I'm obsessed with TikTok content. I'm also obsessed with YouTube content for a completely different reason, because I think that it's a very similar sort of closed ecosystem where it's like, not much content can actually go into there versus. But those two platforms I'm absolutely obsessed with right now. One long form, one short form. So creators, again, are at the middle of this. Why do I know this? Because the first creator-centric VC fund was just propped up, and I forget what her name was, who propped that up, but it's like $100 million fund just to invest in creators, right? That's incredible, and that's why I really believe that we're just at the precipice of this idea of going all in on creators. So here's some mistakes that brands are making. You can see my fun little slides here. Not enough outreach, not actually selling to creators is another big one. So number one, and Yuka is going to talk about this at some point, I'm sure, as well. It's just like people just aren't doing enough outreach. Like it takes so many touch points and so much back and forth to really find the best creators. And I think that's one of the places that a lot of brands are having issues with right now, is that amount of outreach. So number one, like you need to use automation and AI when it comes to this stuff. And again, the guys at Yuka are going to talk all about this after, but it's a really, really big deal. Number two is not selling to creators, right? When we first propped up this, we actually put it in our sales organization when I was like, okay, I want to figure out this TikTok shop. So we were a full like D2C shop before. And I saw the opportunity, and we actually put it in our sales team because it's a sales process. Selling to creators is a really big deal. Number three is being too picky, right? The content that you're going to get from TikTok, especially at first, you're going to be like, I don't know. Is this like the kind of content? Like, does this match my brand? Again, we work with a lot of like really big, well-known brands. And for them, that they have a really hard time approving this kind of content. And the problem is, don't go on TikTok Shop if you don't want that kind of content, right? That is the kind of content that converts and sells and does really, really well. Number four, big mistake that brands are making is rights management. They're not actually getting the rights management to use on other platforms. For us, we try to pre-negotiate that with creators of like, hey, if any of your videos do well, we want to use it on another platform. Number five is just not being at a large scale. We're always looking for at least 200 creators in the first 45 days. So that's a really big one there. It's just getting your product out, getting as many out as you can. Think about the 80-20 rule, right? So if you send out 100 samples, right, you're going to get 20 pretty decent videos. Of that, I really think that it's the 80-20, the 80-20. So of that 20%, now bring that 80-20 down to about 4 that have viral potentiality, right? So that's really what I see when I do the math, which is why 200 creators in the first 45 days is essential to get to. And then leveraging content with ads, right? And using the right ad strategy. And again, I talk about this kind of stuff all the time. So if you just follow me on social, I'm sure you can learn all of this. Where you really need to start with the right foundation. A lot of people will just go straight into GMV max ads. It's just a mistake. It's just laziness, and it doesn't actually work. There is a way to do this that works. Again, here is the 3-step framework, and I'll get through this really quick, guys. I don't want to take up too much time. But the 3-step framework really is incredibly important. We know when we do this that we're going to actually be able to be successful. So the hardest part, guys, is the 0 to 10K, right? Once you can get through that 0 to 10K, scaling gets a lot easier. The issue is creators look at your SKU and at your shop, and if you don't have thousands of dollars of sales and reviews on your product, they don't think that they'll be able to sell it in the same sort of way, which is why getting to that $10,000 mark is incredibly important. And then identifying your hero SKU. Now, once you get to 100K plus, that scaling becomes a lot easier because there's momentum, right? So one of the big issues, and again, this is for Amazon people out there, this is a big thing, is Amazon, on Amazon, the last thing you ever want to do is stock out. It's very, very similar on TikTok Shop. You do not want to stock out because you don't want to stop the momentum that you have on the products, specifically in that 30-day GMV window, right? You don't want to stop the momentum that your sellers have. Like, the last thing you want is one of your creators to create something incredible and then suddenly be out of stock. And they're like, wow, this video was absolutely crushing. We had ads running on it and it was great. So please just make sure that you have enough stock. If your product has any hope of virality, make sure you've got enough stock here. So anyway, that's just a really, really quick overview of what I believe here. Now let's not worry about that. I don't have anything free for you today. You can reach out to Social Commerce Club. You go to Dylan and get that. I do not have anything free for you, but feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or X, and I'm on YouTube. And if you want to know more about TikTok Shop, I also run a school group called TikTok Shop Elites Mastermind. You just search TikTok Shop Elites. It's on there. So thanks so much for having me, guys. And Dylan, really, really appreciate you having me here. And I hope that this was helpful.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it, Jordan. I just have one question for you, actually. When you send samples to these influencers or creators, how many pieces of content do you get them to create for that one sample in general?
So our aim is to get 5 pieces of content per sample that we send out, right? So that's what we're aiming for. Whether it happens or not is another story, right? But that's always the aim that our team has. It's like for every one of those pieces. So if we send out 200 pieces, even let's say that we get an 80% fulfillment rate, right? So only 80% of those are actually going to post, which is very common, just so everyone knows, right? Again, Yuka's got something, and Reacher at the same time where you can actually filter that down to try to get only people who are posting at a certain percentage, but there's just people who won't post. So yeah.
And then I just have one last question, if you don't mind. You were saying that like there was one creator that had under 10,000 followers, and you think they did between 150,000 and 300 in sales, if I remember correctly. So when you're looking for these creators, do you have a minimum follower follower count these people or creators should have?
No, nothing. No, don't. That is one of those numbers you don't need to worry about is their follower count. That does not matter. What you need to care about is what their GMV has been. And some of the other leading indicators, right? Their click-through rate, I think, is really important, right? If people are actually clicking through it, average video views is a pretty good leading indicator of whether they're getting their product out there. But that also is a bit of a red herring because sometimes somebody could post 30 videos a day, right? And sometimes they're just not going to get up there. I just like to look for creators that are already producing at least a little bit of GMV. I don't like to take the chance on anyone who's done less than $1,000 in the last month.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, well, I appreciate you for sharing that, Jordan. If you want to find Jordan as well, we have a LinkedIn link in the chat where you can go and reach out to him directly. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. But yeah, thank you, Jordan.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.